new moms, old moms, pregnant moms, and those preparing to be moms. Yeah, thank you for joining into the webinar today. Thank you for honoring our invitation. It's such a pleasure to have you guys here. And yeah, just as we usually say, it takes a village to raise a child. I also believe that it takes a community of people to support mothers to be able to be effective like in that role as mothers. It takes community of people, and that's why we are hosting this webinar, just to like enlighten us and provide necessary support and guidance to moms. Yeah, let me just use the term moms because of course everyone is a mother. So motherhood is not a lone journey. It's not a journey that one should do alone. We need people on the journey. We need supporters. We need encouragers. And we need those that are going to like provide guidance. I think when I was pregnant, one of the major culture shocks for me was the fact that I was so sick and I couldn't eat. Because all my life, all I've heard was, oh, when you are pregnant, you eat a lot. So it was like so new to me because how will I be pregnant and I can't eat? So until I now made my research, I read online that, oh, nausea, vomiting, heartburn, all those things can cause you not to eat, lose appetite. And it was just really new to me, even as a nurse, like it was entirely new. And then I realized that really information is lacking and many people don't know some things. Many people know some things because people share only that aspect, while some things are just not known. So I know that we can't like say everything concerning transitioning into motherhood in this just one webinar, right? But then I hope that this webinar will be able to provide counsel, provide the necessary support, guidance, and just words that are needed for the journey, the beautiful journey motherhood is. And yeah, that's why Purple Baby Up, we're just here to like organize webinars to help moms. And today we are going to be talking about transitioning into motherhood. We have two sections. The first one is talking about the blessings, the challenges, and the lessons that is in motherhood. While the second section, we're going to be talking about the midwife's perspective. So I'm going to be introducing the first speaker now, Mrs. Adeniro Fagbole Felicia, which is going to be speaking on transitioning into motherhood, the blessings, the lessons, and the challenges. So over to you, Ma. I hope you can hear me all along. Thank you so much, Ma.
Good evening, everyone from this end.
Good
And
evening, Ma.
if you are joining us from another place, good morning, good night.
Yeah,
No, let's not say good night. Good morning. How was your night? Good afternoon from wherever. But from my hand, I want to say good evening to everybody.
good
First and
evening.
foremost, I want to appreciate the convener of this orb. I want to celebrate you. Thank you for being a wonderful sister. And I do not take this invitation for granted at all. Thank you so much.
Welcome, Ma.
So, straight to our wonderful topic this evening. In fact, I was just like, there are a lot of numerous things to talk about. Like you rightly said, is Purple Baby Hub convener, as you have said. I'm still going to call you. I'm sorry, if the husband is Mr. Mike, please, I'm sorry. I'm still like, no, Sakiyemi is not just leaving my mouth, but I will learn it, don't worry.
Fine.
As you have rightly said, and it's not something that we can actually exhaust in this thing because we have a lot of things to talk about. And thinking about this topic all along, like the challenges, the lessons, the blessings. And I'm like, oh my God, people that are just transitioning to motherhood will be, as in they will benefit a lot from this because if I had like 5 sessions of this, at least I would be more prepared for this journey. And I celebrate you. Thank you so much. While talking about these challenges, I don't know, I will put the lessons side by side so that I don't come back to be referring to the challenges, because if you have a challenge and you have to learn from that challenge so that you go forward. And I'll be talking about the blessing at the end of it. So, what do we call motherhood? Before you can say, okay, you are transitioning to motherhood, then you have to be a mother. And there's one thing I want to talk about here is not until you give birth to a child or you could become a mother, even by adoption. Like, to me, the way I read an article, and the writer of the article was saying motherhood is just like you having your heart outside your body. Like you having your heart outside your body. When your heart is out, just think about it. The heart is what makes you to, like, is a very essential part, organ in our body, and it's not outside of your body. Then there's a great connection, if I must say. So, what are the challenges of being a mother? Like a motherhood challenges, like we have a lot of challenges when it comes to this mothering thing that we are talking about. And the first one is, for me, is under preparation. Like, as the convener was talking the other time, like, it's amazing. You know, when she said, I was smiling, like, wow. When you are a nurse, you should know, and people believe that you should know everything. You should know everything. You know, myself and my husband was watching your YouTube channel while you were talking about your plan, like, and the first thing he asked me was, "Is she not a nurse?" No, is it not nurse Akiyemi that I used to say, but no, you get, and
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's not. Sometimes it has nothing to do with this nursing, if I must say. Like, motherhood to everybody is spectacular, but there's this general thing, and we are Yorubas, you know, you have to be strong. You are going into marriage. When you are going into marriage, I don't expect anybody not to be prepared. But when it comes to motherhood, it's a lot. It comes with a lot, because if you are saying, okay, I am strong, and you get pregnant and you are the weakest being, and you are looking at yourself, is
Mhm.
this me? If you get what I mean, is this me?
Yeah.
Like, I used to be, if anybody that knows me, they know me. Like, even in this church I just joined, they will say, energy to Poju. Like, they know me to be somebody that is energetic. And when I got pregnant, I was like, oh my God. With these stages of pregnancy while in school, apologies to people that are not nurses, but you know, I'm a nurse and I'm still asking myself, what is happening? Like, I became the weakest being, and I'm, to some extent, I can say I underprepared, because I had that confidence in myself. I had this confidence in myself that, okay, let's get into it. Let's just dive into it and we'll be fine. And it was the other way around. So I can say for myself, under preparation for this motherhood. You know, I used to be all over the place. I want to do business. I want to do ministry. I want to go to, I want to be as in, like, I've been a church girl, you know, and pregnancy took another turn on me.
Mm.
And I must say, I'm still going to the place. I'm still going to that aspect that I almost had this post-traumatic stress disorder. Oh my God, when I gave birth to my child, and you know, somebody that is knowledgeable about something, and that falling victim of that thing. So it still show adequate and preparation. And when it comes to the lesson, I'm going to juxtapose it together, because when you have this challenge, then what are the lessons? What are the lessons that I learned from this under preparation is making adequate preparation. There's nothing I want to do that I don't prepare for. I'm the kind of person that writes like black and white. I want to do this, I want to do that. You have to prepare so that you don't get depressed. You know, the other side of this world that we have, you see a lot of depression. If I'm right, in the
Yeah.
UK,
Yeah.
you see a lot of people, and you ask yourself. Sometimes I ask myself, what is depressing these people? You have lights, you have good road, you have working system, and people that are in Nigeria, they are struggling, and you are still depressed. So sometimes someone will even tell you that I am not prepared for teenagehood. Like, I'm not prepared. My mommy did not prepare me for this teenage life, and I'm depressed. So that we don't fall into that depression. We are not pitying ourselves. We have to make adequate preparation for motherhood. Motherhood is not something easy. It's something that can be exhausting and overwhelming. I'm not scaring anybody. It's something that can be exhausting. So you have to make, okay, if pregnancy, I can say first trimester is going to show me this. If it doesn't show me this, how do I go? Like, make adequate preparation before you do anything, before you do anything. And the challenges I also had, I had was sleep deprivation. So, during motherhood, your sleep pattern, just forget it. It's going to be tested. Your sleep pattern, the way you feed, you have to at least adjust yourself. You have to, as in, a lot of things will come into place. So you have to be really, really prepared for this journey. And if it's taking another turn, okay, if I am having this issue, what else can I do? How can I combat this challenge? If Okay, now, for example, when I was pregnant, I was still doing a lot of courses. Like, I was still in school, like a physical, not online schooling, physical schooling. And it's almost like I want to put a stop to it. And because I said, no, I am fine, I am okay, I can just go with it. I want to combine a lot of things. I know how to balance it. But no, pregnancy was showing me a lot of things. And when it comes to motherhood, I just had to, okay, let's, what do I say? Like, okay, how do I adjust this thing? And that brings me to setting your priority. Motherhood, you cannot be selfish with your decision making. I must say, you cannot be selfish with it. So sometimes, before I got married, I already had my plans. Okay, this is how I want to do this. Before I'm 35, before I'm 30, I want to achieve this. I want to go this way. I want to go. Okay, getting married, we aligned. Okay, let's just make this purpose work together. But when the child now comes in, then you're like, okay, so how can I do this? So you cannot be selfish when it comes to decision making. So that's, for me, I must say, okay, in the aspect of decision making, was a challenge to me. Decision making was a challenge to me. And what was the lesson I learned from it was that I must not be selfish with my decision making. I must not be selfish when it comes to making decisions for motherhood. I must not be selfish with it. So you've got to think about your home, think about your child. You have to think about that before you do anything. And what are the challenges? What other challenge do I have? Was balancing family, work, and school. That was my own challenge when I got pregnant during the time of mother. Even when in fact, it was amazing that I went to school at 37 weeks to go and write exam. So I was struggling with that, balancing family, work. I was still working like full time. I had to just take leave to go to school to do exam and come back. So one of my challenge was balancing work, family, and my school. I was having issue with it. And I must say, it took a lot from me, because I don't know. I was almost, how do I call it? I was almost giving a semester away, like, okay, giving it off. Let me just defer this schooling,
Mm.
because I need to concentrate into motherhood. So on my motherhood journey, if you get. But I just had that strength, like, okay, let me just continue. And it comes to, what are the things that okay, the lesson that I learned from that is support system. Just supposing it together is, you've got to have a good support system. If there's one of the things I'm still going to talk about, if there's something that I learned from her, is a good support. She has friends she could talk to. She has a lot of people, like, okay, this is what I'm going through. So balancing a lot of things. DDK, I learned something from DDK, and it's really changed my life. Who am I talking about? Is the Debola Kunrumi. Is she said, if you can afford comfort, why not pay for it? So you don't
Mm.
have to, you don't have to overwork yourself. If
Right.
somebody can cook for you, and you are saying you want to serve your husband, you want to carry the food that that person did for you in the freezer and serve your husband. The love continues. So you don't have to overwork to yourself. If somebody can come and clean your house for you, why not? Pay the person if you can afford it, and everybody will be fine. So there's no award for the best mother. There's no award. There's no. Let me not. Okay, no, don't quote me in that aspect. There's no award for the most energetic mother, like the mother that can walk 24 hours. There's no award for the
Yeah.
mother. So look for a good support system. Don't stress yourself out. I said earlier that motherhood can be exhausting and overwhelming. So don't exhaust yourself. A good support system, people that can help out, family all over the place. It's not, they will come at that moment, go away. And if you don't have somebody that can even stay with you, why not? Even in this Western world, you can see order, you can still make some things, you can still schedule appointment for people to come and clean your home. So there's no award. I must say again, for the best person that works 24 hours. No, there's no award. So try to prioritize your activities. Try to prioritize your activity. And another challenge that I have is, I'm so sorry, I'm a Christian and I'm going to say this boldly, is the aspect of prayer. Like I my prayer life almost went, like it was almost gone during my motherhood. Like I'm still a mother, like during the pregnancy journey, giving birth, nursing my child. And there was one day I was listening to Tori Lokpe Solution, the one that married one of Adejumo's children, and she was saying that there's no place that God cannot hear you. There's no place. While you are changing diapers, speak in tongues and pray. I will be crying out that my prayer life is gone. And you want to wake up in the middle of the night, you want to do a lot of things, you want to make the home welcoming for your husband, you want to do a lot of things. And the way you communicate with your God is lacking. So the lesson I learned from it was, you can pray anywhere. You can schedule, you can set alarm on your phone and say, okay, this is what and to trust me, sometimes it might not work out. So why not just use that time that you are trying to pet your baby to sleep and change it to, sometimes even when you speak in the Holy Ghost on those children, they sleep. They sleep better, and they sleep off, and you continue praying. So I'm sorry, I know that this is I'm just going to talk about that aspect
It's
of
fine.
yeah. So my prayer life was almost gone. And another challenge that I had was, I noticed that I was having this distance from my husband. You know, you want to it's not that both of us are not nursing this child, no, both of us are not going through it together, but you want to feel that I am the only one bearing this burden. You can't understand. Why can't you understand if you can communicate to him? In the first place, you both were involved in this pregnancy. So that aspect of, I almost lost my husband because I felt, oh, my baby, you are trying to bond with your baby and you are debonding your husband. If there's a English if there's a English like that, you are trying to break from your husband and you are trying to bond, like, oh my God, my baby is our baby. It's not your baby. So the more there's this connection between you and your baby, nobody can argue with you with that. But don't lose your home, don't lose your husband, because if the child comes now and you've lost your husband, who are you returning to? Is that husband? So please, justice for the husband. When you are pregnant, no matter what, and the lesson I learned from it is communication, adequate communication. When you wake up, honey, sweetie, my love, the part of my tummy is not is funny. It's not that okay, let me help you. Sometimes they can touch it and that pain will increase. Sometimes it can be like that, but you don't make them feel disconnected from you, because you are the one bearing, you are bearing nation, you are both bearing it together. So walk him along this journey of your motherhood, walk your spouse along with it. That's the lesson. When I gave birth, let me cite this example. When I gave birth, this normal thing, they'll prepare a room for you, you stay with your baby, and your husband is another room, because probably because of family. After the christening, the 8th day, I just pack my baby. I pack myself. I went to the room. And my mother was saying, no, do you still have? I said, no. Anything that happens, both of us will bear it. And my husband was like, no, no, no. At the end of the day, he was able to confess to me that I felt relieved, you coming to me. So it's not, you don't get disconnected. Adequate communication, and you still express your love. As much as you are expressing your love to your children, don't let your husband be left behind. Don't switch don't switch it off. Don't switch your love off the husband, and you are turning it on with the baby. And that's when it gets to a stage and they say husband is jealous of the child. No, it's not. The husband is not jealous of the child. He's jealous of you. He wants you. So that is it. That is one of the lessons that I learned from motherhood. And another thing is, I was not able to set boundaries. And I'm still going, this woman right up here, Saki, oh my God. Like, I must say, if there's anything that I learned, let me confess to you, it's setting boundaries. I even wrote it in my book. Like, no, you must know how to set boundaries in this journey of motherhood. You said in your first statement when you were doing the introduction that it's a community that raised a child. As much as the community is going to raise a child, you are the custodian of this child. So you don't leave it, okay, everybody, and it's amazing, this side of the world that we are, even if the child is straying away, don't know, it's nobody's concern. It's amazing that even in the church, if your child is doing the other thing, nobody will shout, see your daughter. No, everybody is doing their thing because of the kind of environment we find ourselves. So you don't leave your child, you don't leave it in the training of a child, you don't leave it in the hand of the community. And you don't leave your child to the detriment, like you are not endangering your child because you want somebody to train that child. I was in a meeting one day, and the woman was saying, she took, I think it happened to me. Let me even use myself. I went to my in-laws place, and my baby was not 6 months. I was doing exclusive breastfeeding, and in-laws place, they know that I honor them. And one woman brought out amala, and I want to put it in. I said, please, ma. She's not. No, you have to be putting. I said, no, I'm doing that. You should trust me. And my husband was trying to let us give her. I just, this communication with your eye. He said, okay, let us just leave the baby. I said, the mother is doing this. It doesn't matter. But I know that even the size of that hamala was too much for that child. And you want to tell me that because I am there, I should leave my baby. our children nurse is smiling. So you want to tell me because I want the community to train that child, I will now leave my baby. So if she aspirates, who is going to bear the pain? So setting boundaries during this course of your motherhood is it cannot be overemphasized. It can't be overemphasized, I must say. Even with your family, everybody want to come near you, everybody want to do. It's good to celebrate, but setting that boundaries is it's cogent, it's germane in this motherhood journey. And another thing I want to say is, think, okay, let me say the challenge. The challenge was that I sometimes make decision on my own, okay, this child, let me just do this for this child. or on myself. Let me first of all use myself. I want to do this. I want to go to a place. I have to consider the child first. I have to consider, you have to put a lot of things into consideration. And that really was a challenge to me. Like when it comes to decision making, I want to do this. I just want to step out. It's amazing that after 2 weeks postpartum, I went out. I went to more. I was like, I'm dying of this. I have to take my baby along with me because I can't just drop the baby and say, okay, I want to go out and go and spend hours. So it might not be a challenge because it's what comes with motherhood. You can't just make any decision. You can't just say you want to do this. How will you think about it that you want to say, okay, you want to go for a program, you want to go for a program, I want to drop a 3-month-old baby for 16 hours or for 24 hours. Then you are not doing well as a mother. So you can't make any decision. You can't, okay, I've just given birth to a child and I'm thinking with my husband, okay, when do we want to have another child? When do we want to have another child? So you can't make decision in this journey of your motherhood without adequate preparation. Without adequate preparation, your YouTube video when you were talking about planning, your pregnancy, I really learned a lot from it, and I'm like, oh wow, this is really true. Because you can't just dabble into something. You can't just say, okay, you want to be, as much as you want to go into motherhood, it still has to come with preparation. Because our mothers, our elders will say a 9-month visitor is no longer a visitor. A 9 months, like, pregnancy is not a visitor because it's 9 months, 9 months notice, and you are not prepared for it. So how do you want to navigate motherhood? So that is it. And let me just go, because of my time, let me go into blessing. If I want to continue with the challenges, I will just keep talking. And when it comes to the blessing of being the blessing of being a mother is just, that's number one. The blessing of you being a mother, that is just, it's like it comes with a lot of blessing. The blessing of you being a custodian of your home, of a destiny. It's a blessing to me. It's not a challenge. It's really a blessing to me that I can look up to somebody. I can love somebody. I can love up on someone. I can hold a child. So it's a blessing from God. It's a blessing of a gift from God. So how do you want to, and a blessing of being a nurse? It's not until everybody is a nurse. So as long as you have a child in your custody, you are a nurse. So the blessing of being a nurse, you want to nurse a child, you want to nurse a nation, you want to nurse a generation, you want to nurse a destiny. So that's a blessing. And the blessing of being like, how do I call it now? Like the blessing of nurturing, the blessing of nurturing a life. It's not, and the blessing of being hospitable, hospitality, it's a blessing. In this motherhood, you have to be hospitable. You can't do motherhood and you just want to do it casually. And the blessing that comes with it, another blessing to me is a blessing of is a blessing of responsibility. I am accountability and responsibility. I am accountable for this child. Nothing must go wrong. I don't know if it's another challenge. If it's a challenge to people, like, I call it a blessing for me. It's a blessing of responsibility, a blessing of accountability. I can't just wake up one day and say, okay, this child, I'm no longer your mother. No, I am responsible. If anything happens to this child, I am fully responsible. That nothing must go wrong with this child. And I want to wrap up my talk with this abbreviation, which says that PRN. I just want you to note it. PRN in this motherhood. I have summarized my own talk around this area, and is plan and preparation when it comes to motherhood. Plan and preparation. R is readiness. R, are you ready to be a mother? It's not everybody that give birth to a child that we can really call a mother, if I must say. It's not everybody. Even the mad woman on the street can give birth to a child. So I want to tell people that have not even given birth here, you are a mother. But when it comes to motherhood, it's just like, okay, you are giving birth to a child. It can be through you are having a child in your custody, it can be through surrogacy, it can be through adoption, it can be through any means. You shall have a child with you. So readiness, my P is plan and preparation, my R is readiness, and my N, which is like, it's even ing, it's continuous, is nursing. So my PRN is plan and preparation, the R is readiness, you are ready for this motherhood, and the N is nursing, which continues throughout lifetime. You can, even if you give birth to one child, you have to keep nursing the child. You have to keep nursing. You have to keep nursing. And nursing is not about only feeding, giving shelter, or doing anything. You have to, like, I'm sorry, it can be a nursing term, the PRN, but just take it like that. So the
Right.
PRN, yeah. So I just want to bring it under that umbrella. When it comes to motherhood, you have to plan and prepare. You have to be ready. You can plan, you can make preparation for 20 years, if I'm correct. You can make plans, okay, this in 2040, this is what I want to achieve. But when are you ready? Like, are you ready? Are you ready for this motherhood journey and nursing? When you are now ready, you keep nursing. You keep nursing. It's endless. And that's why it's having this ing. It's endless. And there's another thing I want to talk when it comes to this challenge. I forgot the other time. I was talking about post-traumatic stress disorder. It's just stress. Like, I think there's a major thing that comes with motherhood is stress. And that is why you can't afford to be stressed out when it comes to motherhood. Sometimes you'll be stressed. That cannot be, you can't argue that. We can't erase that from motherhood. But when you make adequate preparation, you make your priority, and if you can afford comfort, you procure it, or you go for it. Thank you. I think I'm watching the time. Sorry, I don't want to shoot over
Thank
my
you
time. Thank you so much.
so much. Like, that was a whole section. Thank you so, so much. Like, as you were just speaking, I think you were just trying to, I was just having memories. Like, it was bringing back memories. Because I remember when I found out exactly 1 year ago today, like exactly 1 year ago today, I found out I was pregnant. And it was just like, oh my God, what did I just do? Because I wasn't ready at all. It wasn't planned for. I wasn't ready. I was like, no, I don't want this right now. So in my mind, I'm like, you don't want to get pregnant. You are doing the thing that will get you pregnant. You did not prevent pregnancy. And then it came. But and just like you said, decision making, right?
Mm,
Once you are in a family, you are no longer of yourself. You have to think of every other person.
yes,
Then
ma'am.
I can't just say, okay, because I'm pregnant now, it's only my problem.
Mm,
I also have to think of my husband. Okay, what does he
mhm,
want? What do we both
mm,
want?
yeah,
Aside that, I have to think of even the child I was carrying,
yes.
and what does God want for me as well. I'm like, okay, you are failed in your planning, you are failed in your preparation, and all of that. But then you have to think of solution. You have to find the way forward. And then
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? It took like I was depressed for about 2 weeks after
Mm,
I found out. I was just like yeah, that's the word I was just going to use. I was just depressed, but then I was like, is it not just to give birth to a child and then start
Exactly.
nursing, just like you said? So in that period, when I now just decided that, okay, you know what, I'm going to have this child, I'm going to nurture this child, I'm going to do everything God wants me to do for this child.
Mm.
And then I started getting prepared for motherhood. Even though before I got married, to a large extent, I have always been interested in motherhood. I've always loved children. Like even children on that are not on the world, we are at any place I work. Even children on the streets, wherever I meet children, I just ensure that okay, I leave a positive mark in their lives. I've always been a lover of children, even before I had my own. So I've always been interested in motherhood and everything that concerns just making a child wholesome. And so when I got pregnant and everything, then I started my preparation, just like you said, plan and prepare. Then I started getting ready for everything. And yeah, just as of you have also said, let me also emphasize on support systems. Really, we can't do without, just like I said in the beginning, it takes a community to raise a child, it takes a village, but it also takes a community to support mothers. You can't do without support systems. Whatever you can outsource, you outsource. Whatever you can, friends that you can rely on them. Make use of every opportunity you have. Like just as Sha said, there's no award for most hardworking mother. Oh. There is none. I don't know where they give it. And even though they give it, me, I'm not interested. I'm here for soft life. There's no time to start saying, oh, I have to be the one to do everything. And also, let me also hit on the point that when you talked about distancing from your husband because you now have a child, just like you said, you can't switch on your love for your child and switch off the one you have for your husband. One thing we have to be really intentional about as women is the fact that we have to keep loving on our husbands, because you met them first before your child came in the first place. We know that the heart of a mother is large. Once you have a child like this, it's almost like that love is tripled. But you
Exactly.
can't sideline your husband. You have to involve him in the process. He has to be
Mm.
involved in the child's life as well. It's the father. We talk about motherhood. There's also fatherhood. There's also the place of
Mm-hmm.
fatherhood. So we have to be really, really intentional about keeping the love bonding between yourself and your husband. You also talked about setting boundaries. If you know me, I'm big on boundaries. I am so big on boundaries in everything, in every aspect of my life. Boundaries is so important. So with your child, as much as you want to make other people involved in their lives, you also have to set the right boundaries. If there are rules you want for your child, make those that are involved in their life aware that okay, this is what you want for your child, this is what you don't want. As much as everybody has a manual for child raising and all of that for their own children, I used to say each mother knows what is best for their child. So you can just give them advice, but you don't have to like force your own rules on them. So yeah, that's just what I'm going to add to that section. Thank you so much, Mrs. Adeniro Felicia. We are so,
Thank you.
so blessed. We are so blessed by your section. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank
I'm just
you.
going to be introducing the second speaker now, just because of our time. I don't want us to take so much time. So after our section, she's going to be talking on transitioning into motherhood, the midwife's perspective. So after our section, we're going to take questions and contributions. If you have a question now, you can drop in the chat box so that we're just going to answer immediately she's done with her section. So I'm going to introduce now Mrs. Damilola known Ayodele. Thank you so much, ma. You can have the floor.
Good evening, mothers and moms to be. I'm so glad to
Good
be here.
evening, ma'am.
Thank you so much. In fact, sorry, Ni Fabule, sorry, I don't know the new surname now. You actually did a wonderful job. the other time. In fact, I was blessed. I'm ready to give
Thank
birth
you.
now. God bless you, ma.
Thank
God
you,
bless.
ma. Thank you.
So I'm going to be talking on the midwife's perspective about transitioning into motherhood. And permit me, I'm going to use a slide. I don't know if Mrs. Alan will help with sharing the slide, or I just do it at my end.
You can share it from your end, ma.
Which, okay. Just give me like a minute to ready for that.
You can start the section while we share.
Okay, so transitioning into motherhood, the midwife's perspective. I'm sharing the screen. Can you see that? All right, so before I begin the session, let me share a story. So one of my friends reached out to me some couple of hours back, and she was like, Lola, I cried yesterday. I was overwhelmed. So the thing is, she just had a baby 2 days ago, and I was like, cry, okay, what happened? You have the whole family with you, helping with transitioning into the new season. So what happened? And she was like, she talked about the fact that she's no longer who she used to be. The what's it called now? The privacy she had for herself was no longer there. This and this and that, and the process of having to care for a newborn and everything just overwhelmed her, and she began crying. Motherhood can be, as much as it could be interesting, it could be an interesting transitioning process. It could also be overwhelming. And as much as we get prepared about each seasons of our lives, motherhood is something to be prepared about. You know, in medicine, we have adolescence, we have the teenagehood period of life, we have the adolescent stage, and in fact, motherhood is a stage on its own, and it's a period of transitioning from being a woman now to being a mother. And in medical term, we call that matrescence. But before I go much into that, let's have a quick overview of what this class will be. We are going to talk about the introduction and the definition of motherhood from different perspectives. And we are going to look at the Duval's family theory, then the coping mechanism as regards transitioning into motherhood. Now, before I go into the definitions I have here, you know, health, according to WHO, is that it's having a total well-being, different from a disease condition, when the physical, the spiritual, the social, and every aspect of a human being is well, is healthy. That is what health is all about. So, which means that when you are transitioning into motherhood, every of these things that comprises a healthy being is being is being affected. The physical aspect of a woman is affected, the spiritual aspect is affected, the psychological aspect, even the social aspect of a woman is affected as a result of this transitioning. Now, looking at the definition in the medical field, I have that transition into motherhood was defined as a process that includes adaptation to a new stressor, physical pain, lactation, and attachment. So in this process, it's dependent on the secretion of oxytocin. No worry, I'm not going to bore you with all the medical jargons. I'm going to be as simple as possible without using too many medical terms. Now, talking about the psychological aspects, what is motherhood as regards the psychological aspect of a woman is a transition to motherhood that involves the physical and internal changes that women acquire as mothers, which redefine their place in the socio-cultural structure. It's a phase that is marked with psychological, social, and cultural changes. And in human studies, transition to motherhood is defined as a dynamic, diverse, and complex process rather than a naturally ingrained, stable, and fixed process, and should be interpreted within historical, cultural, social, economical, and political context. In fact, the whole business of motherhood encompasses every area of a woman's life. Every area of it is affected. And transitioning to motherhood is a concept that includes pregnancy, childbirth, nurturing, work, leisure, and economic activity, and is defined as a period of redefining self-identity and undergoing biological changes for a woman. Now, talking about the physical aspect, is a process of adapting to the changes in the body after pregnancy and birth and childbirth. Now, I mentioned a medical term the other time that is called matrescence, and I said that is the transition of a woman to motherhood. Now, the physical aspect of that woman is affected, and that period of matrescence actually starts from the period when a woman gets pregnant down to the time the child is born. And in fact, according to the Duver's family theory that we are going to be looking into, means that motherhood does not stop at the age or at the stage of you birthing a child and maybe raising a child to like a year, 5 years. Motherhood, right from the time you get pregnant, transition and ends to the very end stage of life, when you become a grandma. That is when motherhood ends. And we are going to be looking at all of those stages as it pertains to a woman. Now, the psychological aspect is a process of expressing various positive and negative psychological changes, such as joyfulness, anxiety, incompetence, loneliness. The psychological aspect of a woman is going to be altered. There's changes between when you were not pregnant, when you were enjoying your adulthood, when you were enjoying the adolescent stage of your life. And in fact, many people are saying that adulthood is a scam. Wait till you get to the motherhood stage, then you know that a whole lot of things is going to change about you. And because while we were in primary, secondary school, we were told about the adolescent stage, and to some extent, we got prepared for that stage of our life. And when all of these puberty changes begins to happen in a lady, in a girl, or a boy, it doesn't come strange, because we already have a pre-knowledge about it, that in this stage of your life as an adolescent, in this stage of puberty, these and these are what you experience. And so when all of those things come to play, it doesn't come as a shock. We already have a pre-knowledge about it. And this is why the matrescence, which is the transitioning into motherhood, is also a vital stage that a woman should prepare for. And most of the time, in medical field, this preparation comes during the antenatal period. But I'm sure that most of our hospitals, they don't do justice to this transitioning period, preparing a woman for this stage. And I think it's something we need to look into in the medical field. Now, talking about the social life of the mother is a process of social perception changes from one mother to another mother, to someone's mother. Now, as a woman, you are changing from being yourself to being somebody's mother. Now, at the stage of you birthing a child, two human beings are being birthed. You are birthing your child, and you are birthing a new self of a new version of yourself. You are giving birth to a mother in you, as well as giving birth to a newborn. So every of these areas of your life is going to experience these changes. Now, talking about your relationship, a mother to baby relationship, and even interpersonal relationship with everybody around you, there is also a change in that. Now, concerning the mother-baby relationship, is a process of building and developing a relationship with your child. And interpersonal relationship is a process of redefining relationships with family and others, including the priorities. Now, in this stage, you begin to prioritize who you give a chunk of your time to. Unlike when you were yourself, having a baby, you try as much as possible to give your time to almost everybody, to friends, to colleagues, to family, and everything. But this time around, you are coming into a new season of your life. And so in you relating with people, there's a priority that is going to be attached to that. Now, I said that all of this process put together is called matrices. And I said here that the matrices highlights not only the physical experience of conception to birth, but also the birth of the mother and physical, emotional, and psychological changes involved that occur to a woman through this process. Matrices begins during pregnancy, like I said, and it continues after the birth of the child. Okay, now going into the Duval's family theory. I think I have an issue with the network here. Oh my God. Okay, before I go into the Duval's family theory, I said something about preparing for this stage of your life, preparing for this new season. And there's a saying that whatever you have pre-knowledge about, there's a way you have power over it. And in fact, the scripture made us to understand that out of the abundance of the heart, there's something that comes from the abundance of woman's heart. So now, having a clear knowledge about this this new stage, this new season of one's life helps to mentally and psychologically prepares one to face whatever challenges that comes to the woman's heart. And talking about the mindset of a woman is actually a very important and vital thing that you should deal with before you enter into the mental stage. And your mindset about a subject matters. It's about a subject matter. It determines your reaction or how you handle real life events. Now, Mrs. Sister Fabule was talking the other time that she was able to prepare her mind concerning that. And in fact, aside from the fact that you prepare for it, you have to be ready for it. Now, having a mental preparation as regards what you want to do in that motherhood stage of your life will help you to address how you receive every of those things that begins to happen in real sense of it. And you say, oh no, this is not what I want to do. This is not the narrative I want with my child. Although it's happening this way, I have that right to react to it. Even though the reaction, the external reaction that I'm getting from this is not palatable, but I have the right, because I am mentally prepared for this. I have the right to actually change that narrative. I have the right to change what feedback I get from this real life situation that I'm going through. If what the real life is situation of motherhood, if for example you have oh my God, sorry, please give me a minute to plug the laptop. Okay, so now if the real life situation you have is your baby not having enough time to do other areas of your life because of the onset of the baby, but now because you have a pre-knowledge as regards what that situation will entail from you, now you begin to have a planned and a mapped out strategy as regards how each of your day will go. And we are going to talk about that in the coping mechanism of motherhood. So let me just hold on with that and go into the Duval family theory. Now, in the Duval family theory, it tells us that this theory tells us that there are 8 stages to a family, to the family. There are 8 stages that a family, both husband and wife, they go through at the onset of starting a home, at the onset of starting a family. Now, the first stage is the married couple without children. In this stage, what are the things that you go through in this stage? This is when you try to navigate how to live together. And in fact, this is period, if you have not talked about that during your courtship time, it is the period that you begin to talk about how do we raise our families, how many kids do we want to have, what family planning do we want to put in place, are we getting pregnant immediately in the first year of our marriage, or how many years interval are we going to put into this? All of these things is what happens during the stage of a married couple without children. And it is also the time that you talk about, oh, when we finally get pregnant and we get birth to our baby, who comes in and at what particular time that the person comes in to help with taking care of our baby? Because like the two, like the host said, that it takes a community to raise a child. It takes, I will also say that it takes a village to actually go through the motherhood season successfully without having to go through a very overwhelming period of your life. And as much as we are saying that it takes a village, it is also left for you to receive help. And even if all of this help is not forthcoming, ask for help. One thing is ask for help, and another thing is receive help. When there are people around that says, I want to help you to do this, I want to receive help, it's going to actually help a lot. Because during the first 6 weeks, medicine will say that the postpartum period, like the first 6 weeks after giving birth, we help a woman to actually adjust. To me, I would say it takes months. In fact, there's a research I happen to read through, and it says that it takes a whole lot of 10 months to actually adjust into the new system of being a mother, into the new system of motherhood. So all of this period, you need help. You need helping hands to help you to maintain balance, to help you to resume back to your normal self. Before you were a mother, you had a life. You had a purpose that you were trying to run to fulfill. Now that you are a mother, this purpose does not end because you are now a mother. What you have to do is to create systems that will help you to actually still be yourself, as much as tending to the needs of your new baby and even the needs of family members. Now, the second stage is the childbearing families with the oldest child between birth and 30 months, which means that the first baby is like 30 months old. And now at this stage, what is entails of you? This is when you begin to prepare and adjust the family system to accommodate children. And every of those things you and your husband, you have spoken about and discussed about during the time that there was no children. This is the time you begin to put them to practice. And it's also the time to have a balance. Oh, we did this, it's not working. Let us try it this way. We have done this, it's not too good for our baby. Let us ship in this system. So another thing is you're also developing your roles as parents. At this stage of you having a baby and the first child of the family, the oldest child of the family is between the age of 0 to 30 months, you are developing your roles as parents. And the thing is, parenting is unique to individuals. And I'll say that at this stage, don't compare yourself to other parents. Don't feel because this family has done it this way, it will also work for us. At this stage, you are trying to try out so many things and know the one that is best and suitable to parent your child. And in fact, in the way you parent baby A is different from the way you parent baby B. You will not raise Oluwada Asimi the same way you will raise Feyintoluwa. Even when you are raising twins, the way you raise Taye is different from the way you will parent Kehinde. So that is the more reason why it will not be healthy for you, both psychologically and even every area, to compare how parent A is parenting their own children to your own. Now, another thing at this stage is redefining roles with extended families. You know who does what at this stage. Now, the third stage is the families with preschool children, which means that the first child of the family is now between age 3 to 5. And that is another ball game entirely. Now, can you see now that the period of motherhood is not static. It keeps evolving. And when you pass a stage, you are entering into a new stage, and a new method, a new task is expected of you. What you were doing when your baby was between the age of 0 to 30 months is different from what you will now be doing when your baby is 3 to 5 years. Now you are socializing, educating, and guiding your child. The way you will communicate to a 30-month-old baby is different from the way you communicate to a 5-year-old child. And here you are assessing and adjusting parenting roles as children age and more children join the family. The fourth stage is the families with school-age children. Now is between the age of 6 to 13 years. Here you are providing guidance to children while collaborating with outside resources. Outside resources in terms of the teachers in school, even the Sunday school teachers in church, and every other persons in your environment. You are trying to collaborate with them in the guidance of a child, in the guidance of your children. And one thing again to take note of is that once it comes to the motherhood stage, a lot of things, aside from you taking care of your newborn, is expected, comes to being. The financial aspect of the family will take a new turn. And that is why at the first stage of married couple without children, you need to plan and talk about all of these things. The financial needs of the family. How do we go about it? Who takes charge of what? How do we collaborate our resources together to raise a family with children? Now, talking about the fifth stage now, which is the families with adolescents. You know, the way you begin now to relate to your child that has entered the stage of puberty and adolescence is different from when the child was 3 years, 2 years, 5 years old. Now you begin to relate with the child as if the child is your friend. Now you talk to your child as a friend. As much as you are relating to the child as a friend, you do not also forget the fact that I am a mother to this child. And when the need arises for you to act as a mother, you talk to the child as a mother. You know, adolescence and the age of puberty, it takes great grace to actually parent a child that is an adolescent. Because this time around, they are not just fixed with your own environment. They mingle with people. There's peer pressure. Now, you will not, the way you will handle a 5-year-old child is different from the way you will handle somebody that is mingling with friends in school. And it takes wisdom, the wisdom of God, to actually be able to still have that relationship with your child at this stage. Because if you are now, if you've not employed the method of relating to your child as a friend, it might be difficult for that adolescent child to confide in you in so many things. And because they see their mother as mother far away and not mother that is near, they tend to seek for answers to questions in their hearts from their friends rather than confiding in their parents. Now, in this stage of families with adolescents is also tending to parent midlife relationship and career issues. Okay, now you begin to say, well, my baby is now, sorry to say the Yoruba word, otito jumbo. And so the attention you give to the baby, to the child, when the child was still a baby, you tend to withdraw from that attention, which is, to some extent, is not right. Now, the next stage, which is the sixth stage, is the launching families, where the first to the last child is leaving the home. In fact, there's a whole lot of emotions in this stage. Navigating adult to adult relationship with your child. That is one of the tasks that is expected of you. And resolving midlife issues, caring for your aging family members as well. Your parents, your parents, in-laws, now they are now in your care because they too at that stage, they are tending towards the very old age. Now you are caring for the aging family member. You are also trying to build a adult to adult relationship with your children. That is the launching family, when the children begins to leave the house, go to higher institution, go to boarding schools, go to what have you. Now, the seventh stage of the Duval's family theory is the middle age families. At this stage, for some people, it is the empty or the spacious nest stage to retirement. This is when you begin to some extent, you begin to be a grandmother. I don't know if there are men in this meeting, you begin to be a grandfather, and you are helping for someone that the children are not married yet. This is the stage you help them to actually make a decision in having the right future partner. Now, you are not attending to them as if you have the sole responsibility of determining for them who to marry, but it is wise that you help them to guide their choice of who they are getting married to. Now, here you are adjusting to being a couple without children living at home. Every of those children, they are beginning to come with their suitors, with their life partner, getting married and leaving the house. That is the middle age family. Now, also in this middle age family, for some people, especially those that they have grown-up children that got married early, I mentioned that is a stage that you tend to be a grandmother, and you are beginning to raise your children's children at this stage. Especially for mothers that missed a stage, that missed it in a certain stage while raising their children. Now they will want to bring all of those things that they've missed out, or all of those mistakes that they made while raising their own children. They will now want to bring it into raising their children's children and be like, oh, I did not do this for your mother. I feel I made a mistake then. Now let me correct my mistake now. No, that child is not your child. It is your daughter's child. It is your son's child. And so you allow your children to in fact, to a larger extent, to make the decision of how they want their children to be raised. Now, you don't now come to lord it over them that this is how it is being done. To some extent, even at this stage, you begin to have that knowledge that this child at this stage know as much as I know, if not even know more than I know as a mother. And so you give them the space to raise their children the way they want to raise them. And in fact, in the first stage of the Duval's family theory, one of the things that prepares a woman for motherhood at that stage is sitting back and having a thought process of, this was how I was raised. What do I want to imbibe in the way I was raised that I now want to inculcate in raising my own child? What was it that while growing up was not so palatable to me? I didn't like the way my mother did this, and so I am not going to do this to my own child. It is at that stage of married couples without children that you begin to plan ahead as to how you want to parent your child. Now, to the last stage, which is the aging families, is the retirement to death of both spouses. Now, it could be a loss of a partner at this stage, learning new roles related to retirement, becoming grandparents, losing a partner, and even having health-related challenges. Remember, I said that the middle-age families, some people in the middle-age families, in fact, they start becoming grandparents, especially for those that married early and gave birth early. They start becoming grandparents even before they got retired at this stage. Now, all of these things put together is what makes motherhood. And so motherhood, like I said earlier, does not stop at the stage of you giving birth to your new baby and seeing the baby to like when the baby becomes a toddler. It doesn't end there. Motherhood ends at the stage, at the very last stage of the Duval's family theory, the stage of aging families. That is when motherhood ends. Now, talking about the coping mechanism. Talking about the coping mechanism, how do you cope being a new mom? How do you cope? How do you navigate through every of these stages, especially if you are having your first child, especially navigating through the second stage of the Duval's family theory, the stage of having the first child of the family between the age of 0 to 30 years, 30 months rather. How do you navigate all of this? How do you navigate through the stress of just putting to bed, whether it is a spontaneous vaginal delivery or having to go through CS? How do you cope through all of these things and balance your life? And you come to the stage of, oh yes, my life is now well balanced. I can now go back to how I used to be. The truth of the matter is, coming into the stage of motherhood, your life cannot remain the same. You cannot be what you used to be before when pregnancy sets in. A whole lot of things will change about you. Your physical appearance will change. The way you now relate to people will change. Even your spiritual life, if care is not taken, in fact, it's not a matter of if care is not taken, your spiritual life, there is changes in it. Now, it's left for you to now be able to balance things up so that you don't lose that touch of God as much as you're tending for your new baby, so that you don't lose that sexual intimacy with your husband, even as much as you are tending for a new baby. How do you navigate all of these things? Now, my first point here is have a good support system. Like I said earlier, it takes a village to transition effortlessly into motherhood. And having a good support system also means that learn to receive help. Map out each support system's role. Who are the people you want to bring into your new season with you? And remember, I said that the period of motherhood actually starts from when you are pregnant. Who are the support systems you want to work? Who are the people you want to work this journey with you? It is in the period of pregnancy that you begin to talk to these people, that you begin to bring them to come to terms to the new season that you are about to enter into. In fact, the new season that you are already into. Map each of these support systems role. Which role will your mother be? What will be your mother's role in this system, in this new season of your life? What will be your friend's role? What will be the role of your midwife? In fact, your midwife is also a strong support system to you at this point, because at every changes that you experience, you have a medical person to actually talk to and give you this, oh, what your experience, right? And in fact, one of the things they even do at this period is they prepare you ahead of all of these things. And when you begin to experience them, it doesn't come to you as a shock. Now, decide your support system. And one of the reasons why it is very vital for you to have a strong support system is because you release the pressure of you. Having a great support system helps you to release the pressure of being pregnant, the pressure of having a new baby. It helps you to actually release that pressure off yourself to somebody else, especially first-time moms. In fact, the first baby is also is always so challenging and demanding for them because they have not gone through this period before. Now, having this support system, you know who will do this at a particular time, who is doing what, who will be in charge of cooking for you. It's very important. The goal is to release, like I said, release the pressure off yourself. Who will be in charge of cooking? Who will be in charge of taking care of the baby? Who will be in charge of taking care of the house, doing certain house chores? Who will be in charge of it? It is very important. Now, another thing is, remember to take care of yourself. Emphasis on that word, remember. Because at this stage, you tend to actually forget that you also need help. You tend to forget that you need to take care of yourself. You tend to forget that your body needs to heal. So it is very, very important. Remember to take care of yourself. Carve out time every day for you. Even if it is 15 minutes of the 24 hours you have in a day, even if it is 15 minutes that you are going to map out to yourself alone, it is important, because you need your healthy self to actually parent well. You need yourself to be healthy, psychologically, physically, emotionally, spiritually, to be able to take that role of a mother with so much joy and having a successful result at taking care of your child. Take 5 minutes walk. Have go, in fact, leave the environment of the baby and have a long time with yourself. Actually, like breathing fresh air. Have a deep breath, taking fresh breeze to actually forget about the stress of being a mom. And self-care, what it does is that it helps refuel you. Self-care helps is like refilling your tank. If it entails you going to the spa to relieve you of all of this pressure, please do it. Because you need to do, one of the reason why you need to do this is because you need your best self to parent your child. You need yourself in the right state of mind to parent your child. Another thing is understand your baby's rhythm and build a system around it. Now, within the first 6 weeks of you birthing your newborn, understand when your baby feeds, when your baby sleeps, when your baby does certain things, so that you build a system around it. If, for example, your baby, the sleeping span of your baby is within 2 to 3 hours, you know that once my baby is asleep, within these hours, these 2 to 3 hours, this is what I want to do. Because as much as you are taking care of your baby, you don't want to lose yourself. Remember, I said that even before you come into this stage of motherhood, you had a purpose, and you don't want to lose sight of that purpose. You don't want to lose sight of your own self because you are now taking care of a newborn. Parenting and parenthood is a whole lot of work on its own, and it's you taking care of another human being. So as much as you're taking care of another human being, you also need yourself to be taken care of. You don't want to lose out of your own essence of being. So build a system around all of these things, around your having understand your baby's rhythm, build a system around it to also fit in, to also fit yourself into that season so you don't lose yourself. So another thing is internalize the process. I'm a very fan of internalizing processes. Any season of life you are in, internalize it. You just gave birth to yourself as a mother. Like I said before, that in the process of motherhood, it's not just the new baby that is being born. You also gave birth to yourself as a mother. So you just gave birth to a new part of yourself. This is a part that you have not gone through before. This is a season. It's a process that you are just entering into. It's just as let me create this scenario. You know, if you are driving a car ahead of you, you feel as if there's maybe as if rain has fallen at that part of the road, and until you get before you realize that it's even a dry, it's a dry ground. So now this process that you're in, you have not been into that process before. And every stage of this process, new thing keeps surfacing. And that is why you need to internalize that process. You need to take in that process, digest the process, study the process, because it is in you studying that process that you know how to fit into the process of motherhood. Everything feels different, and internalizing that process will help you to actually navigate through the process seamlessly. Things that matter to you at some point, as much as possible, may not even matter anymore in this new process. So also understand that some things that you were doing before you got pregnant, before you gave birth to your baby, you might tend not to do all of those things again. It's not as if you have failed. You have not failed. It is just because of the new season you are in. And because this new season demands a certain level of commitment from you. So allow the time and the space to integrate this process and get to know this new part of you. This is a new part that is of you, about your own self now, that you've not even experienced before. And you'll be like, oh, wow, I don't believe that I can actually do this. But the thing is, everything that you need to take care of your child is in you. But because you have not undergone through this season before, you have not realized that you have that energy, you have that strength, you have the wisdom to actually parent and mother your child with. Every of this is in you. And if you are not internalizing, like I've been mentioning, you are not internalizing this process well, it might be difficult for you to actually know that I have this strength in me. The scripture says that we can do all things through Christ that strengthens us. You can do motherhood. That you have not entered into it before does not mean you cannot do it. All that you need to be a mother is in you. Now it is left for you to enjoy the process. Study the process. Don't allow the process to just go like that. It is very possible for you to go through the period of motherhood and enjoy it. It all depends on the system you build around it. It depends on the mindset you bring and carry into motherhood. Another point I have here is that comparison is a thief of uniqueness. When you begin to compare yourself with another woman, then you are depriving yourself of the uniqueness that God has put in you. When you are beginning to say, let's say during the period of pregnancy, you are not vomiting. And when you go for antenatal visits, you say that woman that is vomiting, and you be like, am I a strange being? Or because you are vomiting and somebody else is not vomiting, you feel like, I think I'm not called for this. No, you are. Everybody is unique in itself. And because we are unique entities, even the way we parent our children, even the way we go through the season of motherhood is also unique. So try as much as possible not to compare yourself with another person. How you will transition through the postpartum period is different from the way another person will go through it. That another person went through it gracefully without having all of the experience you are saying you have does not make you a weakling. It does not say that you are not a mother. It does not condition the fact that you are lazy. No, you are not. And as much as the season and the process might be not so rosy for you, there is something that is inbuilt in you that you need to tap into to make that not so rosy experience, to make it a memory for you and your spouse. And finally, on the coping mechanism, sexual intimacy is key. I say this with so much joy and and smiles, sexual intimacy is key. And one of my sisters one day told me that sex will help you to actually relax. It helps you to recalibrate your system. Now, sexual intimacy does not actually mean a penetrative sex. You can have a good and balanced sexual intimacy even without having penetration. I know that some mother might seem to ask the question of, soon do I resume into having sex after giving birth? Don't rush. There are several ways to navigate through sexual intimacy that doesn't have to do with penetration. Don't rush. You need your body to heal. Remember that your physical self was not what it used to be. So you need a lot of time for your body to heal up. And while in the process of healing your physical body, there are ways that you go through intimacy with your spouse. Just sitting with your spouse and relating the events of the day is a way of building sexual intimacy. Just calling your spouse is a way of sexual intimacy. And in fact, mothers need this a whole lot for them to actually remain sane, because taking care of a newborn, it takes a lot from, in fact, it drains one, especially when you don't have the support that is needed. And so, in fact, your first support system is your partner. Husband is the first support system that you have. So as much as possible, when you are creating time to take care of yourself, having sexual intimacy with your husband, with your partner, is also a way of caring for yourself, because it makes you stay sane in taking care of your newborn. So that will be all on the midwife's perspective of transition into motherhood. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. That was a whole class. She just gave us a master class without having to pay. Thank you so much. We are so grateful. That was a whole lot. I'm just going to add to what you said on mental conditioning. You know, the thing is, having the right mindset, it just changes a whole lot of things in motherhood. Like, you just have to have the right mindset. If you believe that, oh, motherhood is easy, I bet you it's going to be easy for you. If you believe it is hard, sincerely, that's what you are going to experience. So you have to just have the positive, right mindset that, okay, this is what I want for myself, and I'm going to have ways that is going to work for me to ensure that, okay, I have what I really want. Just have the right mindset first. It changes a whole lot of things. Then you can now start having ways that, okay, this is how I want it to work, this is how I want it to work. And you also mentioned that we have to have coping mechanisms. Yes, we have to have coping mechanisms. Just like all she has listed, I don't think I have anything to add. She has done just to everything. Have the right support system. Remember to take care of yourself, and most importantly, don't compare yourself. Don't compare your journey. Every child is different. So is every mother. So you cannot compare your own self to somebody else. It does you no good, actually. Thank you so much to our dear speakers. We are so grateful. We have taken so much of our time. I think we are like 28 minutes past the set time. Thank you so much for sticking by. I don't know if we have questions and contributions. And just like Mrs. Adeniran said, that's Nurse Fagbule, she mentioned that nursing is forever. That is nursing a child. So I just want to use this time to thank my mom. She has been with us from the beginning of the webinar. She has been here since, and I just want to appreciate her for nursing me. Just like Mrs. Adeniran said, nursing a child is forever. So I just want to thank you, Mom. Thank you so much, Ma, for the support and the care all the years. Thank you so much, Ma. I don't know if any of us have a contribution, whatever I want to add, whatever it is that you want to add to what has been said already, so that we can just round up the section and not take so much of our time. We can just raise our hands while, or just unmute yourself and talk, please. Okay, I can see Mrs. Faleti. Please unmute yourself and talk, Ma.
All right. I want to say thank you to all the speakers. You really taught us a lot, and I'm grateful. Like everyone that spoke this evening talked about support system, and I think one thing that, if possible, that the committee here can probably work on next time is to have more fathers. You know, like they said, they are the first support system that we have. But a lot of time, our husbands seems to, should I say, they tend to amplify our strength, especially so like me. If you know me, the kind of person I am, I think I do like can do a lot of things, and that have given my husband a kind of sense that my wife can do a lot of things. She does not need help. She can do everything. And practically, because I feel too, I can be able to do this. I want to do it. But you'll be expecting the man to be able to do something. But because our men has this notion like, so person is doing it fine. And you have more strength than this person. So you should be able to do it as well. How come you're not doing it? And when they do little things, it seems they have done a lot. And I know those things matters to them as well. You know? Things like helping you to carry the baby, maybe once in a blue moon, and they'll tell you, I've done a lot for you today, I've carried that baby. What about you that you've done a lot, much more, feeding the baby, doing a lot of stuff. So I think if probably next webinar, we can try and inculcate it to include fathers. Let them understand fatherhood is just beyond you just carrying that baby. I don't know if you get it. So that they are our first support system. These men too, they need people to orientate them. Probably because we mothers, God has blessed us, just like the way you thought of educating us today, we are here. Maybe if we can educate the fathers, they will want to come. And I'm not sure how many of them will turn up. But if there's a way we can speak to our fathers too, let them learn fatherhood, and let them know it goes beyond just carrying the baby and singing. They are our support system. Without them, ultimately we will fail. Apart from God supporting us, we need these men to understand fatherhood and understand that as mothers, we are not giants and we are not machines. We need them to help us, and I pray the Lord will help our fathers and husbands in Jesus' name. So please put them in mind in our next class. Let's bring them into lane.
Okay,
Thank you once again.
Noted. That's very noted, Ma. We'll try our best. We know, like, it's in a world that I used to say something. I think, was it last year, the International Boys Day, something. People were like, on Twitter, people were like, today is Boys Day. Nobody is celebrating boys. Nobody is doing this. Nobody is holding conferences. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, on Girls' Day, it's we women that hold these conferences. We are the one that does all this awareness, create the awareness, create the buzz around Girls' Day. So I'm like, okay, now it's Boys' Day. Why are you men being at the back and you're now saying nobody is doing it? Why not take the front seat and then create the buzz as well, create seminars? You don't have to just, everything about men does not have to be work. You also have to be involved in life as well. Also create awareness about the Boys' Day, about everything, and stop complaining. So I think it's similar to fatherhood as well. We really have people talk about fatherhood or things that comes with fatherhood as well. I think, like you said, there should be classes, there should be informations about fatherhood. Just that it's going to be quite strange when women are talking about fatherhood. But then I think, yeah, we would try and see what we can do about it. And yeah, we'll put it in the plan. Thank you so much, Ma. Mrs.
Jimo will help us to host it.
Okay. Amen. Mrs. Jimo, please, over to you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. In fact, I'm excited that I am on this platform tonight, and my
Oh,
expectation was met. I had to
oh,
quickly
that's so
go to my
Glory.
WhatsApp. I had to go to my WhatsApp, send the link to my friends. I thought, so is this a closed meeting? No, no, no. This my friend was here. This I had to quickly share the
Oh,
link with her and that. So God
thank you,
bless
ma.
you. To the speakers, you
Thank you
did an
so much, ma.
amazing job. Thank you. And Mrs. Nonayodele, please, that your slide. Don't keep it to yourself. Okay,
Thank
so
you so much,
um,
ma.
just to add a little contribution, and I think we also mentioned it, and it's also part of what I experienced. We should also select those we will discuss with. Mm, it's good to have um good, amazing friends around. We should know friends that can comprehend what we are trying to communicate and and give
Yeah.
a good positive feedback. You know, I was discussing in a meeting with some people, and what I was getting was so negative. They're like, motherhood is this, and everything they were saying. I was like, no, 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 no. Are you scaring me the more, or you want me to go back into my shell? But just around that same period, a friend of mine just sent me a text and no, be careful of who you discuss with. And it was like, wow, thank God I have friends that are more sensitive and that are correct. If that was the only source of information I have, that kind of person will have withdrawn and feel like she has been, like a death sentence. Your life
Yeah.
is over because of a child. So I'm grateful for this. And aside from fatherhood, too, can we also draw in the mother-in-laws and the mothers, the grandmothers? Because when we were talking, I remember one of my mothers said, I won't tell if it was my mom or mother-in-law, but one of them said, after 3 weeks, I was already working. Oh. I did not even stay at home for 6 weeks. I was up on my feet, going to the office. In my mind, I said, it is well, it's not me. I refuse to be put under that kind of pressure. So if our mother-in-laws or mothers, grandparents can also, I don't know if that's possible, participate, so that the whole, should I say the archaic, all those things that was not really helpful that they've held on to, they can let go. Thank you so much once again. God bless you.
Thank you so much, ma, for your contribution. We are so glad. Yeah, as much as one of our speakers, I think Mrs. Adeno, she mentioned about setting the right boundaries. Really, I think as much as those people, they're also trying to help, but they are just doing it in the way they understand. But we are more enlightened. We know what is best for our children. We know what is best for even ourselves. So we should just try to set the right boundaries. Tell them, okay, this is how it is supposed to be. Just tell them respectfully. I think that would also help. And you mentioned something about having the right association. Sincerely, there's nothing like having the right association of people, because there are some people that they'll just keep telling you the negative things. Oh, motherhood is this, motherhood is that, and that's where having the right mindset comes from. Like I said, if you believe motherhood is easy, sincerely, it's going to be easy for you. And if they think it's the other way as well, that's how it's also going to be. It's having the right mindset, then surrounding yourself also with the right people that will give you the right and positive information. Thank you so much, everyone. I don't know if any other person has contribution. There's a link in the chat box, and that's just like to provide a feedback. Please kindly help us fill it. We'll be so glad to receive feedback from you. This is our first webinar. We want to know what we should do, what we should improve on, and what we should not do. So please help us fill the form. And Mrs. Ayodele, Mrs. Noon Ayodele, please, we want to ask for permission. Would you mind if we share the what's it called?
Of course.
I can't remember the name right now. The
The
presentation, yeah, the
slides.
slides. Thank you. If we
Yes,
can
of
share it
course.
with the participants in their mails, if you don't mind, please.
Okay.
Thank you. So thank you so much. I think that is the end. I don't know if any other person has something to say. I don't know. we should just round it up in the next 1 minute. Please help us fill the form. Please help us fill the form in the chat box. Please, I'm begging, please. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining from beginning to the end. Thank you if you joined midway. Thank you if you even just joined now. We are so grateful. At least you honored our call. You didn't let us do it all alone. I'm particularly thankful because this is like my first webinar and it was a great success. Thank you so much, our dear speakers. You both did justice to the topic, even in a short time. Thank you so much. We are so grateful. Hopefully we